Welcome to Stories from the River. I'm this week's host, Tyler Trill, for episode 343. I'm joined this week by Broad River Retail CEO, Charlie Malouf. And Charlie and I are going to walk you through our kickoff town hall presentation and the 2026 and also beyond vision for Broad River Retail. So join us. Really good stuff coming up in this one.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
All right, Charlie, we had our town hall call this morning. How you feeling about it? How you feeling the call went today?
Howdy, Tyler. Happy Focus Friday. Happy annual town hall kickoff day. I'm still on a natural high from our town hall this morning. Super energetic. We carved out 90 minutes. We got it done in about 75 minutes. It was crisp. It was tight. We had a lot of great content to go through. And we actually, this is a little bit earlier than we typically have it throughout the year. It's usually either the first fiscal Friday of our fiscal February, or last year we had to even defer it one extra week because of a winter storm. And this year we pulled it forward a little bit because of some events we've got going next week. So anyways, we got it all done. It was a fast follow from the gala, and we got a lot going on, a lot to talk about. So I'm excited.
Yeah, a lot going on. This is always my favorite town hall of the year to produce. We always bring in a lot of outside guests to see what's going on at the river, and it's always action-packed and really energetic call. So I thought this morning was wonderful. So it's been a while since you've been on. Obviously, Heather, Emmeline, and Tim were here last week, and since you've been on the episode last, we had the 2025 Memory Maker Awards Gala. Just tell us a little bit about that evening. Any memorable standout moments from that night for you?
Well, listen, that gala was the best gala we've ever done. So it was the 15th of January. There was a lot of standout moments. First of all, it was at Camp North End, the revelry at Camp North End. And this is like, I've been to several events at the revelry at Camp North End, at weddings, big nonprofits, and other fundraising events and other big grandiose events with like 1,200 people. We had 320 people there, several memory makers and their plus ones. And it's the best it ever looked. The way that our team designed the whole ambiance, the experience, the VIP carpet, with all the people's names, the two cars parked out front, the sides, what they did with the graphics and the walls, the stage. It was pristine. The food, I got a lot of great compliments on the food. And, we had a lot of guests who joined us. We had 4 sponsors. This year, Synchrony was our premier sponsor. And then we had 3 pioneer sponsors, Ashley and Temper Sealy and Riverstone Logistics. And, it was great. Probably some of my favorite standouts were, the speeches were always amazing. Tiffany Hare gave a great, very touching speech, and then had a moment of silence for one of her fellow memory makers who had passed away this past year and who meant a lot to her, and Diane Clawwitter, who passed away from cancer this past fall. And so that was very touching. Jamar is always very motivational, and Karen did a great speech. And then Mike talking about how he found his career path in furniture, and what he's doing. He was those Karen and Mike were our two $2 million writers who had the cars. And then like Bradley's speech was really, really cool and inspiring. And then Dana said she wrote her speech 1 year ago today, after last year's gala. So she got multi-unit leader of the year. And then really excited about Edie, getting to be memory maker of the year. And then one of them was the very end. I thought we were done. And Stacy pulled up the executive strategy team and said, hey, one more thing. And the licensee of the year recognition was pretty cool. And then I got to do a surprise during my speech and announce that Bradley and the Albemarle Aces, Bradley Sullivan and the Albemarle Aces, won North American Ashley Store of the Year. And he had not been informed. He was wondering, what's taking them so long? And so we did a surprise announcement. So those were some of the cool standout memories that I had.
Yes, I thought Mike's speech was great. Frank gave another one. A lot of one-liners, had the crowd laughing that evening. So as you said, some of the big winners that night. Edie was our memory maker of the year. Brian Deckelnick was our executive of the year. Bradley was our general manager of the year. Regional manager of the year went to Dana. Number one overall sales, Mike Cohen. We had him on the podcast recently. And another big shout out here for Karen Biard with over $2 million in sales in 2025 as well. So as you aforementioned, kind of one of the surprises of that night was the announcement that Broad River Retail was the Ashley licensee of the year in our particular category. Your thoughts on taking it home again, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate team award. You know, you see mine and Manny's name up there, but really we try to win the AFL every year. It doesn't exist. We made it up, the Ashley Furniture League. It's our version of pegging to our vision to be the premier Ashley operator. It's acknowledging all the greatness around us from the other Ashley licensees and operators, and standing on the shoulders of giants and playing best ball golf, helping each other get better in the spirit of competition, but not the negative view of competition, leaning back on its heritage and the etymology of the word competition from the Latin word competere, which means to strive alongside together. But we want to win championships and build a dynasty and stay hungry. And so this was our second award like this in the past 4 years. So to win our version of the AFL, the Ashley Furniture League, or to be recognized, it's just a testament to our getting Google reviews, getting the visual store scores, getting the comp sales and the SPG, and being gracious hosts and teaching back out and hosting people when they come see us, and just being a great organization that it's a through and through from hitting different KPIs that are rock solid. It's the ultimate team award. Incredibly proud of our memory makers for this award.
Another big team award that we announced, as you mentioned before, was the 2025 Ashley Store of the Year. The Albemarle Aces actually just spent a little bit time out there with the team, shooting some content earlier this week. This is back-to-back years, I believe, that we've taken home Ashley Store of the Year, with our friends up there in Salisbury winning it last year. Charlie, how proud are you of Bradley and the squad out there to be recognized in this manner?
Super, super proud. The cool thing about this, it's not a subjective award. It's an objective award based off of the metrics, and Bradley says, when they call themselves the Aces, it's not a game of chance or luck. It's a game of strategy. And so he knows he's been on the podcast before and talks about knowing his numbers and knowing his business. And, I joke that he did to Albemarle what Kelly Pickler did during American Idol many years ago, put Albemarle on the map, and in so doing, put Broad River Retail on the map. So, Albemarle is one of our smaller stores, but the success and the growth that they had in revenues and in sleep, basically being the best sleep store in Stanley County, they just did a fabulous job. And really, they were hungry from beginning to end, bell to bell. There was no let up. And honestly, for a good portion of the year, at least a third of the year, they were up against their own numbers. Bradley had started there, 4 months into the year, I think in 23. So beating up against your own numbers is certainly no layup. And they were up against some big numbers there towards the end. And they were hungry throughout. And it meant a lot to them because they really wanted to bring that home for Broad River Retail. So yeah, for the under, they tied overall. And then for the under 5 million, they won it clear-cut Ashley Store of the Year. So the interesting thing is about you alluded to Salisbury, those two stores are really close to each other. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's something in the water right there. So we'll have to figure that out.
Incredible team dynamic up there in Albemarle. They were all a delight to talk to. So excited to release that on the Broad River Retail LinkedIn brand page. So if you're not following, be sure to follow along. So a very successful 2025 for us at Broad River. We're now going to look ahead to 2026 and dive into what you presented to the company today during our kickoff town hall. I'm going to start with these two words that really stood out to me during your presentation, and you talked about it early on, was durable scalability. And that's kind of one of the objectives of the company this year. What does durable scalability mean?
I love that question. I'm going to give you a little bit of a preamble before I answer that. So, the annual town hall kickoff, it's really to look forward. We did take a little bit to recognize some of the past successes and put a bow on the year. We also recognize it's worth calling out that the Fort Mill Otters were a three-peat champion for Decoy of the Year, DC of the Year. And so we put a bow on 2025, and then we've got to look forward. And so this phrase, I can't take credit for coming up with this phrase, by the way. The only thing that I can take credit for is really we got in a room, our executive strategy team, and gave some prompts to say, hey, let's do a pre-mortem on, you've heard of a post-mortem or an after-action review. We said, let's do a pre-mortem at the beginning of the year to what would it look like for the year to be successful or a failure? What could trip us up? What do we need to like really make sure that we're focused on? And what do we need to deprioritize? And we went through a series of questions with our executive strategy team, answered them, and then all put them all together and had a couple of several hour meetings to really kind of hone in on where we needed to kind of rein in our focus and narrow in our focus and kind of understand the pitfalls, the blind spots that we've got to guard against. And that's kind of capturing the zeitgeist of the year, of the moment, of where we are, where Ashley is, what we're working on. And so there was a couple things that came through that. And really, I think we used a little bit of ChatGPT to kind of help us refine our thinking on this. But durable scalability is one that really kind of emerged with when we're thinking about like going from a strong regional company and really pioneering in Project Cascade, going out to the north in the Northwest and planting seeds to what follows that. And you're going to do a workshop or an episode here on our word of the year, but we unveiled the word of the year being forge and going into building strength and being builders. Now that we've planted the seeds, now we got to sow and become builders. And now we're going from a regional organization to a national caliber organization. And in so doing, where are our focus spots, right? And we kind of distilled it down to 3, whereas last year we had 4 areas of focus. This year we distilled it to 3. And then this phrase of durable scalability, how do we kind of make sure that we are resilient, yet agile and adaptable? How do we make sure that we protect the fortress balance sheet, protect the fortress mindset, security in our infrastructure, and can withstand like curveballs and things like that. But also, how can we extend our processes, our people, our systems, and how can we really go into non-adjacent markets? So that phrase is kind of really what emerged, and it's leveraging the strong roots that we have, and then kind of building from there.
When going from a regional company, obviously a very strong base here in the Carolinas, in Georgia, and now we're expanding out to Washington, Idaho, and Maine here. What do you think? What are you most excited to, I guess, find out about? I think I asked you this very similar question. What are you most excited about when you open up Spokane? So, taking the Broad River retail way and expanding it to a national level. What excites you the most about this next opportunity, this next challenge?
Well, I think, Tyler, if I may, it's really what is the why that led into this thinking, and we kind of have to tell we had to tell that story a little bit. So part of the storytelling here is we have a 2030 vision, and I know we're going to get to that here a little bit in this episode. But so in so doing, historically, for many years, we looked into growth in adjacent markets because we quality of life, markets that we knew and understood, are 4 ways that we looked at growth: current stores, current markets, new concepts in current markets, and then new markets. Well, those new markets were really always adjacent or contiguous or a drive away. And so when we casted like the new vision for the 2030 vision, kind of started looking inward to say, hey, to get this double-digit growth into the future, we're going to have to be willing to get out of our comfort zone. And probably what I'm most excited about, to directly answer your question, is the growth that comes from that. I know from just personal experience and from seeing it, experience it here at the river, is that growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable, and you have to get yourself a little bit uncomfortable to have growth. And we say that we will grow as far as our people will take us, ... or not. And so I think it's going to be really cool to see how much our people will grow, and being able to kind of just watch that, help facilitate that, enable that, and watch our people do more than we can probably ever imagine, and really take us to this kind of different level of thinking and different level of mindset of what we can achieve, and then go execute against that.
Diving into those focus areas that we've been talking about for 2026, you want to introduce those 3 focus areas, and then we'll begin with people. Once you introduce them.
Yeah, and so the last couple of years or so, it's really worked well to have areas to focus on to narrow our scope. And why don't we take a step back and talk about 2025? Because we talked about this on the town hall. And the 4 areas of focus were really driving revenues. And that was so important coming after 2 years of like down sales, single digit declines. But after these 2 years of back-to-back generational demand, we then had to focus on driving revenues. That was so important and really stretched beyond our financial budget, this plus 10%. And then while doing that, continue to lean into operational efficiencies and continue to innovation, one of our core values, and then have that fortress security mindset, taking that fortress balance sheet mindset and putting that into security. And we're going to continue to do these things. But then when we really looked at this year and we said, okay, how can we narrow the aperture? And again, coming out of this executive strategy meeting or these sessions that we had, it really came down to, we're not an AI company, we're a people company, but we're a people company that can leverage AI. But it said, okay, we win with people, and we've got to continue to people always make a difference. And so we've got to continue to, and let me just say this. I think every company has to understand what type of company they are. And so, we've continued to invest in our people. And we said, okay, we've got to recruit the best people. We've got to introduce them to the Broad River culture. And then we've got to invest in our people, continue to invest in our people through financial programs, well-being programs, and even about the way, educate them on how we do things, and having onboarding and education programs. And then we've got to retain the best people. And we have comp plans that have to do that, that take care of them and compensate them well. And so it's got to be about people. And then as we go from this regional to national caliber company, and we focus on this phrase that you called out earlier, durable scalability, it's our processes. We can't win with yesterday's processes or yesterday's tools. And so we've got to really look inward to say, and this was a lot of feedback that emerged from those strategy sessions, to say, hey, how do we need to look at the memory maker experience or the customer journey experience? And how do we need to look at AI and how it can serve us? And so it's about reinventing, re-architecting, looking at the tools and the processes and the systems that will be in place for the future that we need to go ahead and start working on now, so we can't get behind. We need to build the infrastructure for tomorrow. We need to build it today. And we need to really work on this year of building out the infrastructure. We planted the seeds, and now we've got to really build out a robust infrastructure to facilitate growth. And it might continue to be non-adjacent growth. And so, I love this phrase I got from Jason Jennings from his book, The High Speed Company. And it was a chapter just called Systematize Everything. And so we got to become a systems thinker, right? So people and processes, that's also borrowed a little bit from Marcus Lemonis. And then, we can't ever forget to our purpose, why we do what we do. There's a faith-driven element to that, keeping God first, remaining humble, and leading with our faith, but making sure we take care of our people and their well-being, things like the Lighthouse Fund, the increases we've had in the 401k program, the profit sharing program that we had, and then just make sure that we continue to really look after the Broad River way of doing business, right? And purpose fuels everything. So we want to be people-centric, process-minded, and purpose-fueled, and continue to look at our culture, right? Because Rome wasn't built in a day. You have to work it every single day. It's not built in a day. It takes multiple days strung together in weeks and months and years. It can be eroded in a day, but it's not built in a day. And the very same token, we say that about culture, right? Culture's not built in a day. You can't microwave culture. It takes that crock pot mentality. And so we just know that purpose has got to show up every single day, making sure that our people are recognized, celebrated. They know that they matter, and they're compensated well and fairly, and their well-being, their whole well-being is kind of looked after. And so people, process, purpose, if every department kind of takes that filter and runs that lens through their areas of departmental focus, like right people, right seat, and make sure it's a safe bus, I think that'll serve us really, really well in 2026.
From those areas of focus, you then introduced the rule of 72. and how we are utilizing that to grow the business. So very simply, Charlie, what is the rule of 72?
Okay, so I came across this when we were thinking about doubling our company's sales from where we started in 2024 to this new 2030 vision. And then again, the first year we only shared it with our leadership team. And we knew that first year, after 2 years of declines, that first year of getting back on track to what we knew and were used to of double-digit growth was hugely foundationally important. And we put a 10% lift, the whole cumulative. Now, so the rule of 72 is, it's like an investment, right? Thesis. If you want to double your asset or your value of an investment over what are your time periods, so just take 72 divided by 6 years, then that would give you the compounded annual growth rate that you need to achieve. And so roughly 12% would be the compounded annual growth rate we would need to take our company from 247 or roughly 250 million to 500 million. And so that's really the revenue target for us, is to go from 250 million from 2024 to 500 million by 2030, by the end of 2030. So, and we're going to ladder ourselves up to that. But that's the rule of 72.
Another great quote that you used today was fire bullets, then cannonballs. How are we at Broad River Retail right now, firing bullets and then cannonballs?
Okay. So I've got to give credit to Jim Collins, a master thinker and a management thinker and author. In this book, BE 2.0, one of my favorite Jim Collins books. It's actually a reissue of one of his original books with new content in it. And I've gone through it multiple times. I've taught on it as well. He co-wrote it with his mentor, Bill Lazier, who had passed away and then reissued it. And so that phrase comes from him when he studied great companies and how they became great and one of the things that they did. And it's kind of what, and so think about we work really hard on a fortress balance sheet. And what that enables us to do is to operate from a position of strength. Now, it took us decades and many, many years to get to that position. And what great companies do, they don't stop innovating. They don't stop experimenting. They don't get stagnant. But they also don't bet the farm on some new adventure or thing. So what they are able to do is test a lot of different things. But and they're not all going to work. But you go test, you iterate, recalibrate. And so think about Spokane. It's not going to sink the ship, right, if it doesn't work. But if you want to really grow and achieve great growth goals, you got to go extend. And so we extended into Spokane. That was maybe a bullet. And now we're going to build that out. And so once you recalibrate and figure it out, get your system down and your processes down and solve some of those problems, now you can then fire cannonballs. And so now, if that was the first bullet with Spokane, now we're going to another non-adjacent market in northern New England, in Portland, Maine. And so now we're refining this non-adjacent market extension of Broad River from a strong core base. And now we can begin to kind of build those markets out and go at a faster rate of speed and fire cannonballs. Shoot bullets first, extend, proceed forward after you recalibrate and get your precision just right, and then go fire cannonballs once you get the precision just right. And really, once you have an area that you think, hey, you've solved it, then go invest in it and go get that and go with that with vigor once you've kind of figured it out. Don't be that bashful after that, but don't sink the ship in some of these experimental things that you try to do. So that would be one example.
From there, we started to get into the numbers, the money, and our goals for 2026. We introduced two separate numbers for this year, which is our financial budget at 280 million, and then ultimately our 2026 goal of 300 million. What's the difference between those two numbers?
Yeah, a little bit of storytelling. So we produced this budget book. We spend weeks and months in coming up with this, 60-page, very detailed, extensive budget book. And every department leader is going to kind of manage to their budgeted number. And so the 280 is our financial budget. That's a little more conservative lens that, hey, we stay in business, we hit our numbers, and we can keep the lights on and continue to invest and grow our people. That's the number we have to hit. That becomes a must. The delta there is kind of where we set our retail performance goals and numbers. And I call that the lagniappe. That little something extra is really what self-funds our profit sharing programs and our retail performance bonuses and our jackpot bonuses. And so it's kind of doing a little bit of storytelling of the magic of the lagniappe. And last year, it was set at a little bit wider delta from 247 or 248 budget to 272, a $24 million delta and a greater 10% lift. And this year, it's a lower percentage and a lower dollar amount. So that 280 really represents 269 from our existing stores, which is like a minus 1% from the 274.3 that we did, or a little bit more than 1% this past year. So it's a very conservative number, and a little bit from new store growth. Spokane a full year, and Moscow being opened up, and then easily a full year. And so that's how we get to the 280. And then the 300 is to say, but yeah, we should be able to do more than like flat sales or minus 1%, and that's what we'll set our budgets. But usually that lagniappe, that delta is between 4 and 10%. Last year we had to kind of swing the pendulum as high, and we actually achieved plus 11%. This year we come down a little bit on the percentage, so we think it's definitely achievable. Now, what that 300 million does not include is what we just announced at the end of the year was the expansion into Portland, Maine, or any other new stores, because you have to lock the budget at a certain time and then work on your balance sheets and whatnot. So it does include Spokane, Moscow, and Easley, South Carolina, but it does not include Portland, Maine. That would be extra above and beyond that.
So 2026, we're on the road to 300 million. And ultimately, that's the highway to 500 million by 2030. Can you walk us through the 2030 vision and how we're looking to achieve this 500 million, this $500 million goal by 2030?
Yeah, what do you think about that? Do you get jazzed up about the path that we're headed on towards 500 million?
Yeah, I do. Just kind of seeing this chart and those bigger numbers growing year by year, and you're seeing $50 million jumps. That's exciting.
And if I can, Tyler, and we didn't rehearse this, I'm going to ask you this off the fly. What is it? What other than the growth, does it? Do you get excited because it means more expansion for your department, for your people, for yourself? What do you think that does for you?
Ultimately, the thing that I've been most excited about of the expansion kind of beyond North Carolina and South Carolina is really the exploration of different areas in the country and getting to see different regions of our country. I'm very intrigued by how Spokane and Moscow and how that market is going to perform. And Kim and I are kind of working on some marketing things and some branding and comms things that we're not doing here in North Carolina right now that we're trying to introduce to Spokane. So those are the opportunities and things that kind of excite me. Is the expansion, obviously, of the team and the company, but also from regional to national, and you get to kind of have your hands in different portions of the country is really excited for me.
Yeah, I love that word you use there, exploration. We're on an adventure. We're going on an adventure together. And one of the things is that, momentum. We're generating momentum. Now, that first year, it's tougher to get the flywheel moving and generate that exit velocity. But now we've got the flywheel moving, and you get this sense of excitement and momentum in the organization. And that's where it really gets kind of fun and exciting. You've got to have a compelling view of the future, a growth plan for the future. It creates opportunities for people who want to grow and advance. And it feels like we're all on a winning team. And so, I'm happy to kind of walk us through that. First, I would say we have to look at where we've been. Over the last, 16 years, we've grown at 12% compounded annually, even with a couple of negative years and the one flat COVID year. And so we've done it in the past, and we need to do it again. Now, the numbers are larger, so the percentages to achieve those percentages start to grow. So coming back down now, if we can do this over a 10-year period, it will be 12% compounded annually over 6 years. We talked about 300 million for 2026. But the way we mapped it out, now it may not be as even as how we mapped it out, but the way we mapped it out for 2026, the stretch goal is 310 million. And we think that's still achievable and attainable, especially when you start to add like Portland, Maine. And then to go from there, it goes to 350, and then 400, 450, and then 500. So that's really going to stretch us, and that's really going to kind of make us think creatively while shooting bullets and then firing cannonballs. And from a strong base, to think creatively about how we can go look for opportunities. Because listen, a phrase that we've used about growth opportunities is one man's trash is another man's treasure. And just because it's not desirable to some might make it the perfect opportunity for us. And so, I think it is, the numbers will grow, but that's where we're telling the story of budgeting and then creating the profit sharing incentive to, if we can really go after it and chase it.
And I think the perfect way to wrap this is essentially how you wrapped it this morning, was with reinforcing your message of kind of continue to grow together if you come along on this journey with us. What did you mean by that?
I think if past is prologue, if you've looked at the way that as the company's performed, look at our people's income levels, and if you look at the way that we poured back into our people through programs and income and opportunity to earn more money, we want all of us to win together. A win-win is great, but a win-win-win is ideal. And really, it's not just our memory makers. It's also taking care of our guests in our communities, and also it's the whole healthy ecosystem with our partners. So we're going to go on a journey together, and we want there to be abundance for everyone. So we believe in the spirit of abundance. We want to be held accountable to it. And then we believe in this thing called mutual prosperity, and where we can all prosper together. And that's what makes it much more fun. And so I think that we're going to continue to look for ways to invest in our people. And so as the company grows and does better, our people should, and we hope will do better and grow with us, and the opportunities will open themselves up. So that's really kind of what I meant. Like, let's go on this journey together, and we'll all win together and make it worth our while, and invest in programs with long-term healthy payouts for folks. And so we introduced, we want to bring it back. We want to run it back on the Pioneer Profit Sharing Program that served us well. So, this came out of the team that was voted and chosen as the Word of the Year with Forge. Part of their thing was introducing a branded version of the 2026 profit sharing program, and we've adopted it, the Foundry. So the 2026 Foundry profit sharing program. And so we said, okay, well, what would that look like for 2026? And so we walked them through the payout levels. We're going to run the playback a lot of how it looked last year. So again, last year I talked about, our financial budget was 248. And the retail budget was 272. So this year, again, we're starting with 280, and the financial budget, the retail budget at 300. And so last year we started at the midpoint at 260. This year we're going to start it a little bit closer to 280. We're going to start it at 288. That's level 1. Then it goes up to 292 for level 2, and then 296 for level 3. And then the unlock comes for retail and all the retail performance memory makers at that $300 million number, because they get other bonus opportunities, and we don't want to let them off the hook. Like, this is the number they've got to go chase down. And then that gets us on par with what we did this year. And we said, but wait, we're on this 5-year journey to this 5 more year journey, right? Ultimately a 6-year journey. And we have the confidence to convey it out to, last year we conveyed it to the leadership team, and then we talked about it in some podcasts. And this year we're conveying it to the whole org to say, hey, now we did that. We got the confidence. Here's what the next 5 years look like. And so we want to do a little bit more. And we said, listen, we want to pay 150 or 200% of the 2025 profit sharing for 2026. So how's that done? 305 million or 310, and those levels go up, and say, hey, to not put a lid on that, we can go to 316 or 326. So this is the Foundry profit sharing program, and if we get 310, it will be double. We just paid out 1.6 million to 643 memory makers, and we'll have more memory makers, and it'll be double the payout of next year if we hit 310. So we hit 272 is that year 1 number, and we hit 274.3. Check the box on that. And so 310 is the real number we want to go hit for the 2030 vision. It's still the same thing. Hey, if you start before in the month of January, you get 100% access to the profit sharing program for the year. So 11 out of 12 months. If you're between February 1st and the end of April, you're in a 70% prorated payout. And if you're here, from May 1st through the end of August, and you still helped us have a great year, you'll get a prorated payout of 30%. So all that looks like last year. The profit leverage is the secret sauce for our Ashley stores. The unlock for retail again is 300 million, and it's based off of gross delivered sales. So even employee purchase sales, or even Ashcombe home delivery or E-team home delivered sales are included. And the one caveat is it's for the stores that we knew when we developed this budget. So that would include easily Spokane and Moscow, but not include Portland, Maine. So we'll have to come up with something different for that. So that was and then I think now we've communicated it, we've canvassed it, we've talked about where it fits in the whole journey as we ladder up to 2030, and how people start to see that they can start to do more and better and help us achieve that, because everyone was locked in. And so a lot of it's about communication, getting buy-in, getting momentum, building that durable scalability, going from regional to national caliber, celebrating the wins along the way, celebrating those massive jackpot payouts and profit sharing bonuses, and then making sure that we narrow the aperture to what we got to focus on. So it's people, it's processes, and it's purpose. And people-centric, process-minded, systems thinkers, and purpose-fueled, and keeping God first in all that we do, and making sure that we fight against the human nature of complacency, and we stay hungry, and we stay disciplined, and we keep encouraging each other along the way. So we've got plans. We're looking around corners, and we're staying hungry and resilient. And I believe we're going to get after it, Tyler. I'm super, super excited about the initiatives we have, with Ashley Lux and some of the new store remodels, and you talk about all the soft openings and grand openings, or grand reopenings and ribbon cuttings that we have. We got a lot of exciting things. Just play, and the VIP summit. And Stacy walked through his team's goals, and we have a first time ever next week. We're going to do our first ever VIP summit, which is our the unlocking our success with the VIP and the financing programs. So we covered a lot of ground. That's the broad brushstrokes of what I talked about during the town hall, our annual kickoff. And we use this. You mentioned this earlier. We use this town hall to really offer backstage passes to like people who are in our applicant tracking system, who are considering joining us, or who are in day zero, haven't officially joined us. And then for a lot of our partners or other licensees or friends of the river who we just like to say, hey, we've learned from others. We can show you guys kind of how we do a town hall, and maybe they can learn some things or be inspired by that. So we open up the playbook to our friends in the industry and our partners, so they can all be on the journey with us.
Yes. I asked you probably a month ago when I was on the last episode if you thought 2025 was a banner year for Broad River, and just going through this, it's hard for me not to believe that we'll probably be saying the same thing at the end of 26. I think we're geared up for just a huge year at Broad River Retail. I'm excited. My team's excited. We'll have a lot of stories and a lot of content to be creating for all the things that we got going on here. Anything else? We covered a lot of ground today. I don't know if there's anything else with regarding the 2030 vision or the 2026 vision that we didn't get to that you want to cover before we go here.
We covered a lot of that. I told our people, our memory makers on the call, just how proud I am of them. Again, reiterating the team award that we received for the licensee of the year, and the individual accolades that some of our folks receive: Store of the Year, Ashley Store of the Year, and GM of the Year, et cetera, Executive Memory Maker of the Year. So really, really proud of our people, everyone who showed up and who wants to go on this journey with us. And and we have great partners who help us achieve it, who are all cheering us on and encouraging us. And love what you and the team are doing. Are we entering season 5 now with the podcast, Tyler?
We're getting there. We're about to unveil some new fun stuff with the studio. That's going to be checked off the box here in February. I promise you. And we're about to take this podcast to the next level as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you're already doing. We've gone to once a week for the main episode, and then we're doing some spotlights throughout, and you're still leveraging, Apple, Spotify, and Spotify video and YouTube, but also now you're getting into some of the reels and the shorts or TikTok. You've got Facebook coming. I want to see Instagram reels on there, and so we got a lot with content production. You guys, and LinkedIn. You guys, you just told me the other day you had one of our biggest post that we ever had. I think you had over 1 million impressions on LinkedIn last year. And so those are great things. And everyone calls it a podcast studio. It will be a broadcast studio because we can do town halls from there and things of that nature, and more than, or shout outs to, achievements or work anniversaries or new hires, day ones. So we'll do a lot with the studio. I'm excited about that. What you guys have. I'm excited for you taking this to the next level and continue to explore new ways to tell our story, behind the scenes, because now the podcast is going to become, join us on our journey to our 2030 vision and behind the scenes and the Broad River Way, how we think, how we work, how we act, how we play, how we show up in our communities. Kim showed some amazing things, raising $250,000 in donations to St. Jude, volunteering over 600 volunteer hours, I think it was, and giving away 1,200, nearly 1,300 mattresses, and then what the goals are for this year to raise each of those, like 1,500 mattresses, 850 hours, cumulative volunteer hours, and 825 and 260,000 in donations. And I know the Wolfpack's going to show up. They always show up. Our Matthew Store, Dave Morocco, and that team. So got a lot of great things going on. Everyone is locked in, focused on where they need to focus. I know you and your team are, and you can just feel the excitement and enthusiasm and momentum building. So it was a great town hall, high energy, and we had a lot of fun with it. And kudos to you, because I know we were making last minute edits up until last night or this morning, and you always do a great job corralling us. I think you might be taking us to a different platform, from Zoom to back to Microsoft Teams. So I'm sure you'll continue innovating and figuring out new ways for us to communicate, message, and tell our story. And that's so important, because as we diversify and grow, we've got to get really good at this way of communicating, so we can make sure that we're all on the same page, rowing the same direction. If we do that, we can row really, really fast together, because to go far and fast together, that's the unique magic. That's where it happens.
These are some of my favorite things to create and to kind of produce, mainly because I feel the rush of being live. It reminds me of when I was a newscaster, news reporter, of going live. So these are always fun, in the last minute edits. They don't stress me out at all. It's just part of the process here. So Charlie, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for everyone who either was watching or listening. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And hey, we'll catch you next time here on Stories from the River. We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. To watch this episode, go to youtube.com/@storiesfromtheriver. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.